The current incentives we have, the major one is the Pioneer Status Incentive, and it has played its role in trying to encourage investment in areas like cement manufacturing. We've also seen food and beverages. We've seen real estate, but we're also at a point, as well as telecommunications. So we're at a point where it's always time for you to take a step back and do a review. These current incentives were introduced decades ago. We had some incentives that were introduced to address reconstruction after the Civil War, but the world is moving in a different direction. So that is why in the tax reform bills, we are recommending the priority sector incentives. So first, critical sectors are included. The focus is mostly on manufacturing, very limited focus on services like business process outsourcing, shared services. Other than that, the rest of it is manufacturing, from energy, including renewable energy equipment, to agriculture and food, to areas to even do with education and health are covered. So expectation is that this will bring clarity as to who is eligible, how much investment must you make as a minimum investment, for how long will this incentive period last for every sector in terms of sunset provisions are also covered. So overall, this is more suitable to our economic development going forward than we have had in the past. And I think, we can't control what other countries do. So the responsibility we have as a country is to always look at how our policies and the policies of other countries interact and look for areas of opportunities for our country. And if there are risks, how can those risks be managed? We already know that the bulk of what we export to the US is crude oil, refined products, gas, and those are exempted. So whatever impact we have that is direct is currently being looked into by the government. And the ones that are indirect impacts, including the price of oil and all of that, are also being currently analyzed. So I won't be able to give you any more specifics than that. But as a country, those are issues that are under consideration. Of course, there was a rebasing of the CPI basket, and that led to a reduction from over 30 to a little over 20%, 24. So, but the factors that play into inflation are dynamic. Also, bear in mind that when you do inflation calculation, it's year on year. So, the ordinary person will go to the markets the last time. When they go the next time, they compare the two prices. That's their own inflation. But for government, they compare 1 year to a previous base last year. So that means, first and foremost, people need to understand it from that point of view. The major factors fueling inflation last year were the subsidy removal and exchange rate. So while we cannot predict what will happen in the environment this year, particularly with the tariffs and the other dynamics around the world, I think the expectation is that you will not have inflation as worse or as bad as it was in 2024.
Well, it's not a yes and it's not a no question. And I will say that for these reasons. When lawmakers make policies, when they make laws for humans and businesses, it is in the light of the current circumstances at that time. And over time, those circumstances may change, and as a result, making those policies not to be fit for purpose at that particular time. A good example is the principle of permanent establishment. Permanent establishment is a connecting factor for taxation all over the world, in Nigeria and all over the world. Now, connecting factor in 1960 is no longer the connecting factor for the purpose of determining permanent establishment, because we are now in the digital space where a business may not need to be in Nigeria to derive profits from Nigeria. And as a result of that, policy direction all over the world has been changing. We'll see the OECD bringing directives, coming up with policies to guide countries in tax administration. And Nigeria too has not been left behind. In the past few years, we've also been trying to redirect our tax policy, tax administration, in such a manner that transcend to the current realities, in Nigeria and globally. So there could be a mismatch, but usually the mismatch is for a period of time, and government definitely, in making policies, legislatures in enacting laws, will catch up with the realities of time. So the major takeaway for me is that times will definitely change and change again. We are in the regime of the new tax bill, which may be signed to law in the next few weeks, few months. And as such, businesses must brace up to these realities. They must recheck their workings and ensure that their businesses are being managed such that they get the best of these bills and the laws as it may at that point in time.